Hey real fans, welcome back to the channel. We have a brand new dev diary about the new features coming with Train Sim World 4. The official dev team has posted a 10-minute video on this, and I feel like I'm gonna have a lot to say. So let's just get into this without further ado.
Hi everybody and welcome to the Train Sim World 4 Dev Diaries, where we lift the lid on the development of the latest installation of the Train Sim World franchise.
I will say with this kind of stuff, like I remember when they first announced Train Sim World 4, the production is really good, but also I feel like that concerns me because is a lot of the budget going to stuff like that? Like the nice cameras, the nice lighting, the studio setup, like all of those things are wonderful, but when you have such a broken game with so many bugs and issues, I don't know, you just start to think, is that where the budget is going? Is that where the money is going for this game? And I also remember at the very beginning of the Dovetail Direct when they first announced Train Sim World 4, they had like, was it a full orchestra or something? But like they had tons of people playing the theme song. Like I just think like, how much money did that cost to arrange that and get that to happen, to film that? Like that's a lot, It's lovely and all, don't get me wrong, but I would much rather them put the money for stuff like that back into the game to improve it and make it better. That way, a better product won't need a ton of marketing behind it because it's going to have better word of mouth. It's going to sell better on its own.
Today we'll be talking about all of the new and improved features you can expect with Train Sim World 4, including the editor, photo mode, and updates to all of our creative tools. Let's take it away.
Not the pink Flying Scotsman, but oh my God, the editor. I'm honestly still in shock about the editor. I am in a lot of shock. I kind of just accepted that was never coming. I truly thought we were never going to get a PC editor, like ever. I'm grateful for that, but I'm also really nervous with it. There's a lot more that I want to get into with the editor, and I think I'm going to do that when I film part 2 of the roadmap article video, because that's going to be another really long video. But I have a lot of concerns, like, are we going to be getting a PDF? Are they going to launch any tutorials? Because I know they're giving us their tool set. It's probably not going to be easy. It's probably going to be very challenging, and there's probably going to be a steep learning curve. That's something that I would expect. So I hope that they give us some pointers and some direction to go in with how to use these tools, because what are the tools if nobody knows how to use them, So I feel like I'm going to have to wait a little bit when it comes out for people to kind of get a grip and to make tutorials, because me learning that sort of thing on my own is just not going to be very possible, at least at first. But nonetheless, super excited for the editor. See what I mean? The production on this thing, it's good. I like it, it's cool, it's flashy, it makes me interested, it sells the product, but I would rather them not do all this and put all the money into making a better game with less bugs, bigger features, things that I talked about in part 1 of my roadmap video, and also in my first video talking about Train Sim World 4, like bigger features, like maybe an optional multiplayer, random delays, random events, those sort of things.
In Train Sim World 4, what we want is for players to feel more free to enjoy their collection. You want to have more creativity, both in terms of making content, the traditional creativity, but also in terms of making it up as you go along and not always having to follow the instructions.
So in Train Sim World 4, we've upgraded a load of the creators tools that are available to you. We've really tried to give as much control and customization to the player, as well as the creation tools working with each other. Scenario Planner comes with a range of new functionality. One of the biggest ones is the ability to be able to chain paths together. So that means where in TSW3 you could run a train from A to B, in Train Sim World 4 you can run it from A to B to C to D, back to A again. We have portals, which means you can send AI off the map effectively, meaning that you can create busier atmospheres. We have custom start times, scenario descriptions. We've also added the ability for you to be able to select your weather, so that's custom or dynamic, as well as the time of year that you're running your scenario.
I like that. I will say the text box at the beginning, okay, whatever. Give us the option to add pop-ups throughout, After we have the station stops, give us a checkbox to add a pop-up after station B, a pop-up after station C, after station D, that sort of thing. add our own custom text along the way. Even if we can't actually add things into the gameplay to make the scenarios more unique and creative, at least let us make up things and say that things are happening, you know? At least that sort of thing, that creative freedom I would really appreciate. Also, dynamic weather and static weather, those are other things that are going to be coming for Scenario Planner 2.0, so that's exciting. The whole chaining paths thing, it's really cool, but it is a little disappointing in the fact that it's only for the Train Sim World 4 routes, so it's not really gonna be a thing for older routes, I don't think, or if it is, it's only for very specific ones, because I'm pretty sure, like Matt mentioned during one of the roadmap streams, like routes have to be like made a certain way for you to be able to chain the paths or something. I don't really remember exactly, and I don't want to try to, you know, quote something that I clearly don't know the quote for, but from what I know, it's very clear that this is gonna be a Train Sim World 4 route and newer sort of thing, which I guess I should have expected, but is a little disappointing, of course, if you have an entire back catalog of routes that you've purchased previously for, you know, Train Sim World 2 and Train Sim World 3. The custom start times, meh, they could have done so much more with this. I've already talked about this in a previous video, but I'm gonna reiterate it here again, of course. I don't know why we still do not have the ability to set the arrival and departure times at stations for Scenario Planner. That should have been like one of the main things with Scenario Planner 2.0, and I honestly really thought that if we ever got Scenario Planner 2.0 that would be on the list, but unfortunately it isn't.
So the improvements that we've made to Livery Designer versus TSW3 are the ability to undo and redo. This is a crucial change for creators that are adding a lot of layers to their trains. In TSW3, you would effectively have to completely delete it and start again if you made a mistake, whereas with TSW4, you can simply undo the steps or redo them. The biggest change we've probably made to Livery Designer.
It's great, I'm not gonna lie, but why has it taken this long to get an undo redo button? That's kind of just like a fundamental for any sort of editor tool. That's kind of like one of the first things that you have. It's the bare minimum. So I'm just shocked it's taken this long, but of course, happy that it's here.
Is 1,000 layer limit. That's 3 times, more than 3 times, the layer limit that was available in TSW3, so people can get even more creative with the liveries that they're producing. We've also added the ability for custom text to be placed on the side of trains. In TSW3, people effectively used to have to do that with shapes and make the font. This year, you can simply type out your font and it will place on the side of your train.
That's a really good addition. I can't wait to see what kind of liveries, you know, the community makes. I usually go on there and take a peek at things. I don't normally save things very often. I'm really picky with what I actually want to see in my game. Normally into more, you know, some of the realistic stuff, and a lot of what I like can't be posted on there anyway because it's licensing and stuff that they don't have. So like, for example, Pennsylvania Railroad stuff, you know, so I always just seek out that. I think I'm actually subscribed to a couple Pennsylvania Railroad things on the Creators Club, and that's kind of surprising because I didn't think people could post stuff that they didn't have a license for, and I don't know if they have a license for that. Maybe they do, but I am subscribed to some of that stuff, so I have it in my game.
So photo mode gives control back to the player, really. So imagine you're driving down a route and you've just come across this amazing shot that you want to capture. In TSW3, you had to do it in that moment, otherwise it was gone. With photo mode, you're able to pause the game immediately there and then fly the camera around still to line up your perfect shot. So you capture the moment and then you can line it up.
I'm not gonna lie, I am really excited to play around with the depth of field, the focal point, and the field of view and all of that stuff. Being able to change that, you're gonna create some cool screenshots. And if you're like me and you like to throw these things into Photoshop or Lightroom and edit them further, this just gives you a better base to start with, because these are just things that you can edit within the game, and then you can worry about the colors and, you know, all of that stuff later in an external program, of course, if you edit the way that I do. But these are really cool settings to have for a photo mode like this. So I'm actually pretty excited for this.
Photo mode offers the ability to apply some filters, so you can change things like saturation, brightness, contrast, exposure. Really allows you to define the picture that you want in the best way possible. Once you've captured your pictures via photo mode, you're able to then view those in the photo gallery. You can view those in full screen, or even further still, upload those to Dovetail Live. What's great is that this system is an enhancement on what previously was known as railfan shots. So that means that any pictures you may have previously captured are also viewable via the photo gallery. When it comes to the creation tools in Train Sim World 4, we've really listened to our player base and tried to...
I just can't get over the editing for this. Like, the editing is so good. The layers and the animations and all, like, you could tell there was a budget for this. Like, it cost them money to produce stuff like this. Like, they're filming this with great cameras and there's all sorts of like text effects and transitions and animations and stuff. And it's like, I like this kind of stuff and I understand that gaming companies, especially for a AAA game, they're gonna do stuff like this to market it and sell it and make it palatable and make it look shiny. But also, I would personally prefer them to do less of this and just put more money and energy and budget into the actual production of the game, the, you know, developers and all of that stuff. And I know that those are probably two separate budgets, you know, marketing and then development, but like, I would just rather it go elsewhere. I would rather have a better game that kind of stands on its own and speaks for itself and sells itself because it's so good and doesn't have very many bugs at all. But it's just not the case with Train Sim World. It's just not one of those games, unfortunately.
To implement as much of the functionality as possible.
So the UI refers to the user interface in the game, and this refers to anything that's 2D that the player interacts with. So this could be from the main menu to the pause menu to any kind of markers or widgets in-game that the player can see. We've kept the changes minimal, to be fair, because the original UI from TSW3 has worked really well. So we didn't really want to tamper with something that was already really well made. So instead what we did was just tweak on a few things that needed improvements.
I'm actually very happy they did that because they mentioned new UI and I did get a little worried. I was like, uh-oh, we have a new UI to learn now. And I really liked the base of it. And I was hoping they would tweak things, maybe change some color schemes and stuff, but we're getting the countdown distance in like a linear line. We're getting a new mini HUD. They've changed some things on the main menu, but kind of kept the same template, the same base, the same layout, the same formula that we had before, and I really appreciate that actually. So I'm happy that nothing is changing too much, at least, you know, in that regard.
One improvement we decided to make were to improve the color selection of the menu buttons, so it makes it easier for the player to understand what option they have selected. We've also made a few aesthetic changes, so we've updated the menu images along with the color scheme of the menu. We've also updated the UI used in Creators Club, the online sharing hub. This is the platform where players get to share their creations with each other and share each other's mods that they've made in their spare time. We've really tried to make the UI in Creators Club look a bit more exciting and vibrant, allows people to really want to get in and explore what other people have made. We've made it more kind of look a bit like a gallery, more like a showcase of other people's works. One thing I really enjoy about working on the UI team is that we're a team that gets to communicate with every other team, because UI is something that feeds into every other aspect of the game's development.
I'm gonna be honest, I love seeing Matt on the team. He's probably like one of my favorites. Like, I do tune into the streams for his personality. Like, he's funny, he's relatable. I don't know, he just brings like just an energy that I feel like, and I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way, I feel like sometimes there's energy missing from the streams, and he is that one person, that one developer. He's, I'm pretty sure, executive producer. He's that person that brings that energy that feels like is missing a lot of the time. So like, if he's on a stream, I'm most likely gonna watch it, even if it's for a route that I'm not particularly excited for. I'm gonna tune in because it's just fun to watch when Matt's playing, basically. I do really like JD too, and I like them together. I'm happy when they do roadmap stuff, they're always together. It's fun, some of those streams. It really is.
Something that feeds into every other aspect of the game's development. For example, we need to speak to gameplay about what kind of scenarios and timetable scenarios get plugged in and whether the scoring system's working properly. We are the people who plug in the text, and so the text that gets translated needs to go through like, we're kind of like the central nervous system of the of the game.
The Train Sim World 4 editor is a full set of dev tools for making Train Sim. It's exactly the set of tools that we use here at Dovetail to make all the bits of content that ship with the game. That means building routes, building trains, building scenarios, building timetables even. All of that stuff is now possible, and it's in the hands of the public.
Building timetables, building scenarios, building routes, building trains, everything you think of. It's just, it's exciting. I'm a PC player, so this is coming for me to use. Like, yeah, it's gonna be overwhelming, but I'm exciting. It's also weird seeing things like in the editor, like you're changing things and it just looks so weird and so different, but I can't wait to dive into it.
The general theme of Train Sim World 4 is about unlocking the player creativity. It's about giving you more things to do, and it seemed obvious to roll the editor into that if at all possible.
They are listening though. That's the thing, is they are listening. Maybe not in every single way, but they are listening, because I know for the longest time, most of the complaints were, we need more creative freedom in this game. We need more creative freedom. We need more creative tools. We need more things to do, more ways to do them. Yeah, we're not getting every single thing that people have been asking for. And I have not been the only one to talk about random events or delays. I'm pretty sure they even included it in a survey at one point. But you know, that's something that I really wanted to see launch with this game, to really transform service mode. But PC editor, and also finding out there's a free roam mode that works in conjunction with service mode, that's gonna give the timetable some more variation, so not every single service you're playing is the same. You can just spawn things down and play it a part of the world that's happening around you. And I feel like that is the variation that I was looking for in the gameplay, something to change it up so that every single time you play it's not the same. And I feel like combining free roam in with service mode is going to provide that, at least for a little bit. I don't know how long that's gonna feel new and fresh, but these are changes that I am definitely excited for, if I'm being honest. That doesn't change the fact that I do want more, and I do hold them to a high standard, and I think they should be giving more for the price that they're charging, but can't lie and say I'm not excited for some of these things coming, because I definitely very much am.
And so everything is aligned, and we've been able to get that out there. So there's now something in Train Sim World 4, whether or not you are just wanting to do whatever you want in free roam, right through to doing absolutely anything you like within the editor and then sharing that with other players.
We know that there's a lot of people out there who have been practicing with UE4 for a number of years in the hopes that, you know, this product would come out and that we'd be able to make it available to them. Now those people can really realize their dreams, realize their ambitions for what Train Sim World 4's content should be, basically. And we know it's going to be a bit of a learning curve for a lot of people. So our hopes are that through the learning initiatives that we're going to put out and make available, people will be able to get the hang of it and start producing great content.
It actually doesn't even look super hard. Like, I was kind of watching him like make the little chains with the lines, like start time, pick up, couple. Like, it actually, like, yeah, there might be a little bit of a learning curve, but it looks like once you get the hang of it, it's not going to be super hard. Maybe I'm not jinxing myself here by saying that, but like, God, I am so excited to just play with this editor and get my hands on it. I don't even know what I'm going to do first. There's like, I have so many ideas. Like, when it comes to this game, when it comes to scenarios and stuff, especially for Train Sim Classic, I get so creative and I just create the craziest, strangest scenarios and gameplays. And I'm like always creating stuff, whether I'm posting it or not. I'm always just making stuff because I always just have these random ideas, whether it's like something that's happened in real life that I want to replicate in my game or something that's completely fantasy. I'm constantly having ideas for what to do. And the fact that I can do it in Train Sim World now, which has just better graphics, a better lighting system, it's honestly so exciting, because I am not a fan of Train Sim Classic graphics. I'm just not. I'm sorry, but I feel like I have been stuck to that game because it's really like the only one, at least from Dovetail, that we have as much creative freedom as we do. But I feel like things are really starting to change now with Train Sim World 4, like having an editor and stuff like that.
We'll publish video tutorials on YouTube, run live streams demonstrating simple actions in the editor.
Okay, so they are gonna post video tutorials, live streams, feature documents, sample content, developer documents. Oh, wow. Okay, good. That's what I was really worried about. I was like, please give us a head start. Give us a little push here. Help us get into this, because these are a lot of tools to be thrown at us and we don't know what the hell we're doing with them, you know?
Community events. There will be written documentation of certain features. There will be sample content made available. Where possible, we'll make available the developer documentation we use internally that explains how to build trains, lay track, make signals.
This unlocks complete potential for anyone to do anything they want and fulfill those dreams of creating amazing content.
Another really exciting feature
I'm actually kind of surprised, because I don't remember them saying that before, that they were gonna post all that stuff and help us out. I really thought that they were just gonna like ship us these features and then we'd have to raw dog it. I honestly really thought that. And I was kind of preparing for it, so I wasn't upset about it. I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna have to just learn this on our own, which is fine. You know, I kind of expected that, but like, I'm kind of surprised, but also happy. Like, wow, we are gonna have some references to use, you know?
we've been working on with Train Sim World 4 is Haptics. That's the vibration on controller and light bar and speaker for PlayStation users. There's different types of vibrations depending on what you're doing. So if you're interacting with notches or switches with inside a cab, if you're passing over junctions, or even when you're coupling to trains. The light bar on PlayStation shows the next signal aspect. So if you're approaching a red signal, red light bar will show. The speaker, train system alert. So if your AWS system is sounding, that will come through the speaker and your light bar will also flash orange.
That's really cool. I'm not gonna lie, that's really freaking cool.
When it's raining, currently it's one of the biggest detractors to the view because it can be quite blocky in the way that the rain works. So we really wanted to step that up to a next level, and the team have made it run much more high resolution, so you won't see any of that blockiness anymore. You'll see what looks like high quality rain appearing on the windscreen and then running down the windscreen.
Yeah, the rain running down the windscreen at 10 to 15 frames per second. I hated that. It sucks that this is, I think, another thing that's gonna be for Train Sim World 4 routes and not everything. I hope they can go back and change that, but I doubt that that's gonna happen, but it's pretty impressive.
Reacting to the forces on the train and so forth. So a much more pleasant view in the rain. It's probably one of my favorite ways to drive now. So a new feature called volumetric fog that creates density in the air. So you'll now see the light cones coming out from the lights. You'll see lights emitting more clearly from the trains. In addition to that visual effect, greater density in the atmosphere means that effects such as crepuscular rays, or God rays as they're more commonly known, you'll now see those more clearly as well when the light shines through trees and so forth. Shadows combined with volumetric fog make the environment look so much more immersive. It applies even to relatively clear days because it's never perfectly clear in reality. On a foggy day, your headlights take on a whole new problem because just like in reality, your headlights just light up all the fog in front of you. So it's a new driver challenge as well.
We've implemented new.
That's what we need. More driver challenges, more realism, and the headlights are gonna make it harder to see when it's foggy. And that's exactly how it is in real life, which is why you need fog lights and low level lights, because it's just going to reflect right back into your eyes and it's gonna be hard to see. But I'm so excited for the God rays, and I've talked about this before. Oh my gosh, just seeing the sun shining through the fog, through the trees, like he said, more immersive environment. Those are the kinds of things that I love. And I peep the little rail driver in the back on the shelf. I have one of those. I wish we would get haptics on that thing. Like, it's cool that it shows us the speed limit, but it would be cool if there was like a light bar on the top that lit up for the signals, you know? Or if they could program it so that, you know, the sound of the alerter system came out of the speaker that was on our rail driver. Like, that would be another really cool thing, but that's for another time.
New feature called the Mini HUD, which is very similar to our current HUD, except it strips back a lot of the information that new players may not need. So it allows the...
I really like this. I'm sorry. I really like this. You got to pay attention to your gauges, your brake gauges, your speed, and all of that stuff now on the actual train set. But up top, you've got your times for your stations. You don't know where your station is in terms of distance, but it tells you when you're due there, and you got to look out for the little bar that apparently is going to change color. I remember Matt was mentioning that or talking about that at some point, but you've got your speed limit up here at the top, 125. You got your gradient, either incline or decline, up there as well. I believe you can turn on or off the actual distance for the signal, but the mini HUD will have the linear line of things moving towards you now, which I think is exciting. That's something that I've been wanting in this game for a very long time, because it's something I really appreciated having with Train Sim Classic and even in Microsoft Train Simulator from the old days. You know, like, I loved having a visual of where things were and it moving towards me. That's how I get a sense of distance, not really so much with the numbers counting down, you know?
The player to just focus more on the gameplay than rather be constantly looking at the HUD.
Working on Train Sim World 4 and the new feature set has been really challenging, but also very exciting.
I feel very fortunate being working with the team that I've got, because whilst it's definitely not an easy game to be working on, it's a game that has a lot of heart.
It's been different to any of the ones we've developed previously because there's been a massive focus on the feature set as being improved, as well as coming up with some interesting different content in the styles we've not done previously. So the team have actually been quite energized and engaged in what they can bring new to the experience. It's kind of, for the first time in a while, the game feels like it's stepped forward quite considerably.
With the number of creation tool updates we've done and giving the control back to the player, I'm so excited to see what's going to come through the doors, what people are able to do with that. 3 words I would use to describe Train Sim World 4 are...
I think...
thrilling, immersive, and customizable.
Hang on, I think.
Really good time.
Majestic, magnificent machines.
That's a Matt response. That is a Matt response. Really good time.
Train Sim World 4 launches on September the 26th, 2023.
But you can get it early if you pre-order the deluxe and special editions, am I right? I don't think if you pre-order the standard, you get it early. And I'm not surprised. They want that extra money. Okay,
It's
yeah.
available to pre-order now on all platforms in Standard Edition, Deluxe Edition, and Special Edition. We'll see you next week. We'll be talking about new experiences. See you then.
I'm kind of surprised they didn't mention the pre-ordering for early access, you know, to get people to get their orders in. And also, I'm pretty sure there's a loyalty discount too for pre-ordering. At least I saw on Steam. It was showing for me like 25% off or something. I don't know if that's right, but like it's a pretty significant chunk off just for pre-ordering. Share your thoughts below on what you think of this. It's kind of just a recap of everything we know so far with a few new details, and we got some new looks at things here and there. So that was pretty exciting. I'm so excited for the editor. I think out of all things, that's what I'm most excited for. I'm excited for free roam. They didn't really talk about free roam too much. They didn't really show too much with that here, but I'm excited for free roam integrated into service mode and for the editor. Share your thoughts on this below and what you guys are most excited for. And of course, if there's any more news, any more information, if there's any more commentary, discussion, speculation that I want to bring to you, of course, I will be back as soon as possible. Take care. Thanks for watching and happy rail simming.